On this Tuesday edition of AM Live, we are joined by our firefighters out there. And there's some things I want cleared up too. Of course, we have Assistant Chief Steve Sanford, Tim Z, who's the captain, Tony Bernardo,
Yes.
firefighter, and
Chris Gardner.
Chris Gardner. How long have you guys been with the department?
5 years.
Really?
3.
3? Okay. Okay. What we're going to talk about today is the levy, fire levy that's coming up, 1.5. Steve, you got that coming up on May 6th ballot. It's a little bigger than what it was. It's been a long time since this has been brought up to the public. So can you explain what you got going?
Basically, the fire levy, since its inception, it started around 1972, and it's been a 1 mil levy ever since then.
72?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It hasn't increased in millage since that time, but there has been increases to get the actual tax value of the present day. So what we're asking for is to increase it to a 1.5 mil. And the way that's going to work out is that on my notes here, just so people don't think there's going to be any overlapping or any double payments, the 1 mil tax for 2014 will be collected in 2015, and then the 1.5 is going to start in 16. It won't be collected until 16, but it's assessed for 2015.
Okay, let me ask you that, Steve. This has come up yesterday. When does that mean that this tax that's presently in effect has another year to go? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it's not till 16.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So it's going to be, the 2014 tax isn't collected until 15, and then the 1.5 will be for 15, but won't be assessed until 2016.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that way there's no, you're not going to pay double, and there's no overlapping of it.
Very good. Want to clear something up. A lot of people have had questions. Your department has taken over more responsibilities in the last few years. You're doing ambulance runs now?
Yes.
Something you did not have to do before. I think you went out on those as backups and stuff, but now you're actually doing ambulance runs. Can you explain what's going on there? Station 3, is that obsolete now, or is that still bigger?
No, they're still there, and they still respond to calls.
Okay.
But the way it works, and I guess that'd be a good point to bring up, because a lot of people, before, the way it was when we just ran the fire truck and we would go to ambulance calls, EMS calls, we would show up because we have paramedics on board and you have guys already on duty. So they would call out for an ambulance, life-threatening call, and we would respond with the engine from Station 1, and we would get there a little quicker, and then Station 3 would bring the ambulance. And a lot of people would say when we pull up, well, we didn't call for a fire truck, but we had paramedics and all the equipment on board the engine.
Right.
So now the way it is now with the ambulance we have all the tools we need, so we can get to the patient, assess them, take care of them, start treating, and then transport. The way we run it now is we have the ambulance and a chase vehicle. So we respond to the call, and then as soon as we assess and treat the patient, if it's life-threatening, the person in the chase vehicle will go with the ambulance, and then also that chase vehicle can break away and respond to another call.
Chase vehicle, no, that would be
The SUV that's usually behind the ambulance.
okay.
Yeah, which has Chief Lee, when he started as fire chief, he made that change up, and what that does is a lot of times you'll get a second out call, so you're getting a paramedic to the second call to start assessing and treating the patient,
Okay.
which is real good for the patient. And then the station 3 would come in with the ambulance, and they would work together, or depending on the time of day, the ambulance would get a fast turnaround at the hospital and go back to the next call.
Tim, when you guys were put in a position of taking over the ambulance duties, were you guys automatically trained for being paramedic?
Yeah, most of the department, when they were hired on, have been paramedics.
Okay.
Some pretty well experienced paramedics
Yeah.
that have come from other departments. And so it was a pretty smooth changeover when the ambulance did
Okay.
initially come over.
I guess I didn't realize that that you guys were all trained for that. I go back a long time, so I think back in the day that wasn't part of the issue. I mean, we had Station 3 that did all the ambulance things, and firemen are firemen, you
Right.
know. But in this day and age, they do everything.
It's evolved over the years.
Sure it has. Yeah, yeah. Now you fellas, you're pretty new on the department here. You probably have background other places, right? What's your weekly schedule now? Is it still 2 days? You work 2 days a week, 24. Was it 24 hours?
24 hours, yes.
Yeah, and then can you give me approximately how many calls you do a day now that you have all this work?
Average,
About seven and a
7.
half calls a day.
Really?
yeah.
Which is up
Yeah.
from what it used to be.
Yeah.
And we averaged, last year we had, it was around, total for the year, the department ran 2,200 calls.
You're kidding? That many?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize it was that high.
And that goes from, from everything from EMS, fire, your car accidents, water rescues, and all sorts of things like that, or the rescues over hills and things.
Right, right. Now I know you a couple weeks ago you guys had a fire that you had a handle out on. I think I saw you in the video over there in Marshall Street.
Yes.
Did they ever determine what that cause was or anything yet, Steve?
I'll let Tim's the lead investigator.
Okay.
That fire's still being investigated.
Okay.
We're not ready to come out with
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
You guys knocked it down pretty quick for as rotten as it was bad weather and it was late at night and early morning.
Yeah, the crews did a real good job.
Yeah.
It was well involved. I responded from home, and I think I made it to around the post office, and I could see it from there.
Yeah.
So
I saw pictures of it. It looked like it was fully involved. Yeah, yeah. For you folks out there who will be voting on May 6th, it's more than just a fire levy. We're voting for everything. Now, the extra money that you're asking for on this levy, Steve, is, I think it sounds like only is not a lot of money, but $90,000 is a lot of money. But for a department of this size and magnitude, it doesn't cover a lot, but it'll help you get some things.
Yes.
You know, like we're talking vehicles or.
Yeah, I have the actual.
Okay.
What do you want? The levy language
Okay.
out there, and it's for the. It's the benefits for the city kind for the purpose of providing, maintaining fire apparatus, appliances, buildings, sites, water supply materials, and establishment and maintenance of lines and fire alarms. And then also for the payment of permanent part-time volunteer firemen for firefighting. Includes payment for firemen's employer contribution under the Ohio Revised Code. And that's pretty much it.
Mm.
I mean, it has the 15 cents for $100 of evaluations, and it's for 5 years. And the one thing about our levy is it's a renewal, so it happens every 5 years. Like the police levy is a permanent, and So theirs, they don't vote on every 5 years, because it just stays there.
Right, right.
So theirs is a 2 mil permanent. And some of the other things that we have in here, like with the local government funding that was cut in half, and around 300,000 is taken out. It was funding the safety forces. So you have 300,000 there. The inheritance tax was eliminated, and that was an average of 120,000. And then personal property tax last year that was collected. The last year that it was collected was in 2012, and that was $160,000. So it's around $500,000 out of the general fund that was slashed.
Yeah, it's
So-
been happening. It's not good. We have to take a real quick break, and then when I come back, I wanted to ask you how many firefighters you have in the department, and is that what it's going to be? 15 cents a day? Is that what that is?
Yes. Yes.
That's all it would cost to
Well, the way it would go is without the homestead evaluation, a home that's between $80,000 and $100,000, you can expect to pay additional 3% or 4% a day, which equals out to about $1.02 or $1.28 a month. So
Right.
for $80,000 to $100,000 home, it's going to be around $1 a month.
Okay. Okay.
I believe this is going to be issue 5 on the ballot.
Yes, I think you're right, Tim. I think it is issue 5. Just a couple questions, and then I know, Tim, you have something to say too that regards EMS. But how many firefighters do you have on your department?
We have, including the fire chief, there's 10 full-timers at Station 1. Then you have probably around 8 to 10 part-timers there. And then at Station 3, there's 16.
Okay. So let me get this straight. Station 3 is still there.
Yes.
Is Vince still the chief?
No.
He's not the chief. Do they have a chief?
They have Nick Colby, who's the
Oh,
battalion
Nicky,
chief
yeah.
over there.
Yes. Sure. Okay. Okay. So they are there in case you need them to help out. Now, there's going to be questions, Tim, about EMS. Is there going to be a levy for that and all that? That is not the case.
Right. As of right now, we don't have a EMS levy.
Okay.
We're operating solely out of the fire budget,
Okay.
and the EMS has put a strain with the amount of calls and
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
has put a strain on our budget.
What about your ambulances, Tim? Are they up to date or?
The chief has been trying to go on a 5 to 6 year purchase of a new ambulance every so often. We're hopefully, I believe next year is when we plan to get our next ambulance, and then they'll just move back a place in the rotation. But running the amount of calls that they're running, 5 years is probably
Is that right?
the expected life of a primary ambulance.
God, I go back before they had an ambulance service here through Station 3, and they bought a used one. I think it was this is in like 69 or 70, and they bought a used one. I want to say it was like a 64 or 65, and it got through a few years. And then they went all out and bought a brand new one, and I think they nursed that thing for quite a while before, So
One of the things we did was, and it was to kind of save some money, and firefighter Bernardo was a big part of this. Was he went out and found a new chassis. It was a brand new chassis, and then we got a remount put on it, so it was a refabricated box on a brand new chassis, and that was quite a cost savings for the department.
yeah, I bet.
That way.
I bet.
So
And really, despite the age of the ambulance that may or may not show up to your house, depending on which one comes, all the equipment that we use on board is about as advanced as it gets now in the
Yeah.
field. our cardiac monitors, all our equipment. You might have a 1990 or so ambulance, but the equipment inside that we're actually using to do what we do is, you know, it's up there
Good.
with pretty much the top of the line and as fast as it's come so far. So
By the way, I want to congratulate you guys too, because I noticed that UH Hospitals, I believe it was, lauded you guys for saving some lives here in Connie at Atlanta and PT, and very emotional ceremony at the fire station, or excuse me, at council chambers that night. I thought that was excellent, and that shows right there how important it is, how the seconds, the quick seconds that these guys save can save a life. And
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, there was actually one this week also.
Was
They
there
had
really?
a full save this week, so
I believe there were 2.
there was one full save, and then they had the 3 heart attacks that they got up there right away for surgery.
Really,
So it was a good week for us.
yeah.
No.
Very, very good week.
It's got to make you feel good that you can save lives
and
like
then
that.
especially with, I mean, stuff like that, heart attacks, I mean, every minute is
Crucial.
valuable and important. So, you know, having that ambulance at station 1 and it's right there and you're at the hospital and you know,
Right.
you might get flown to a higher level of care, that's a huge advantage
Sure.
anymore. You know,
Another thing to that, when these guys are talking with like the ambulance and the equipment, the most important thing is the men and women that are responding on that, and they're very well trained. UH has a good program, and we currently have 2 members of the department that are going through paramedic class right now. So, I mean, the members are receiving good training, and so that kind of goes hand in hand with the
Oh,
equipment. You
yeah.
gotta have the good qualified people.
You have to have the personnel
run it.
there. You know, you do. You know, I was mentioning off air during the break that how important this is to me. I mean, I want that fire protection there. I've had to have the fire department come to my house on 2 occasions in the last 40 years. Both times they saved my house. They saved my car. Well, the car kind of got lost, but that was my fault. I didn't change the oil in it. But anyway, the importance of having that, to me, pennies. We're talking pennies. $1 a month, maybe it'll cost you. Also, the same thing with the street lights, Mike. Or excuse me, you kind of look like Mike Castro a little bit, Steve.
It must be the top of
It
the
must be the
head.
head. You know, those street lights, I'm going to pay that $2. I'm not going to complain because I want that lighting out there for all the crime that goes on out there. We need the protection. You know, we need the protection. Let's take this call. Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, I want to say right off the bat that I have no problem voting for this levy.
Great.
And I have a few questions.
Sure.
When you make all these runs and all this stuff with all your ambulances, whatever, do you have to pay for all the maintenance on your trucks and ambulances?
Yes.
In other words, all the potholes, the bad roads, whatever, the city doesn't reimburse you anything for damaged vehicles?
Well, at the beginning of the year, there's allocated in the budget so much money for maintenance and so on and so forth, so that comes out of that.
All right. Another question would be, with all these water leaks that we have in town, does that pressure drop have any bearing on when you take water from a hydrant?
Yes.
So actually you're losing pressure, makes it harder.
Yeah, we do have a backup plan. The chief has an operating procedure that when we do have a water emergency within the system, that we call in mutual aid tankers to make sure that we're well supplied with water.
And maybe the last question would be, fire hydrants themselves, when you flush them, do you know which ones work and which ones don't?
Yes, we have a program in our fire software, and when we go out with the water department and flush hydrants and do our tests, then all that information is recorded in the computer system at the fire station, and if the hydrant's out of service, it's noted as such, and then we have a paper trail between the fire department and the water department on when those get repaired or which ones need repaired.
I tried to find out how many of them were out of service, and I never got an answer from the city manager. And, you know, it'd be nice to know that mine in front of my place is working or not working. There's no, you guys didn't mark what was good and what was not good.
Well, sometimes the ones that don't work, Steve, they have bags over them or something.
Yes.
Is that the way it is now?
Well, it depends on how long the bags stay there. I know if you notice some of the hydrants in town, we started marking them with stake, colored stake,
Yes.
and the vandals come by, rip them off, and we've found the same problem with the bags too.
Now, it would be nice to know whether, you know, if it was working yours, or if you had 2 or 3 in a row that weren't working.
We do have a list at each station and at the water office, so that when the crews come in or when people from Station 3 come into the station, they can see which hydrants are out of service. It shows their location and everything like that.
Okay. Just to make sure that it's not just a spot for a boy dog to mark his territory instead of, you know, using it for a fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you got my vote, and there's no problem. You guys do a fantastic job.
Thank
Better
you
than
very
a lot
much.
of cities.
Good comments there, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Bye-bye. Now, if say you go to a neighborhood that the hydrants aren't working, so is that when you have to call in mutual aid with the water trucks?
If there's a hydrant that's not working, what we'll do is the trucks will grab a hydrant from a longer distance, and we'll just pull from a different section of the system.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a bad, like recently we had the bad leak, that's when we'll use the mutual aid for
Okay.
tankers.
And we stay in constant communication with the water department. They actually will boost their pressure in the time
Okay.
of heavy water consumption for us.
Okay.
So really all the city departments work together pretty well.
I was going to ask you this, guys, and I imagine you can answer it. It seems to me that lately you've been doing a lot of building inspections and that sort of stuff, keeping up to date on what's happening out there. Is that a routine thing, or is that yeah?
Yeah, we're always out doing inspections too. That's inspections also. That's the other part of our duties, and I'd say it's up a little bit lately with the. I know the new council really wants to clean up certain areas of town, and we're going out and we get a punch list, so to speak, from council on some buildings that have issues or complaints, and just going through and making sure that the codes are all up to date and everything.
Sure, sure. Well, you guys do an excellent job. Got to ask you this: do you have time to still cook? When I was a young reporter, I used to go in there and they would make the best food. We're talking Willard Hall and those are the old timers there. That
You can still, I mean, we still can cook dinner. A lot of the other people in City Hall get a little mad when they can smell something.
I know it when you're in
But-
council meetings.
But like, there's always those times, like last night, the three of us, 2 firefighters and myself were on duty, and you just sit down to dinner, and we ended up going down to the sandbar for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, you know, you get back and there's your cold dinner, but you know, that's part of the job. So.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of it there.
But sometimes, you know, a lot of guys will want to go eat out,
Yeah.
you know, order out instead of cooking, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of times sometimes it's just easier to order out with as much, aside from running all the calls, all the other duties we have, sometimes like let's just order and be
Right,
done with
right.
it. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. I understand that. Hi, you're on the air.
Oh, this is Linda. I would like to personally thank them gentlemen for all that care that they've gave my family and my father and my mother and also myself. They're wonderful.
Very good.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
Good
much.
endorsement. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I will vote for your levy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Linda.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
There's a lady that has experienced a lot of use for the ambulance, as my wife did with her parents over the years, way before your guys' time. But you know, it's
Her father was, I believe, a city fire.
oh really? Linda's father, yes, he was. Yeah, he was. Hi, you're on the air.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi.
I also wanted to say I support the levy. I've taken the ambulance several times in the last few years, and I'm always treated with a lot of respect. If it's a somewhat minor issue, or if it was a life-saving issue for myself once, and I'm very grateful for that I was brought and able to get to Cleveland in time, you know, to save my life. So I want to say thank you, and I also wanted to ask if the burn pile was set on fire on purpose last night down at the sandbar.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just wondering. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just there looking for some carving wood just the day before, and then my daughter says the sandbar's on fire. All right.
Yeah, that was, I mean,
That was a big pile of wood.
at the present time, we have the Port Authority checking the video footage. So it just happened to be on the pile.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
day.
much for your call.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, you got some good endorsements today. That's a good thing.
Appreciate it.
You know, I mean, it shows that the people out there appreciate what you guys do for this town. Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, Pat. This is Eunice.
Hi, Eunice.
I want to thank Steve and everybody else. They saved my life, too.
Oh, okay.
And I appreciate everything they do for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Wow. So, see, that wasn't hard, was it, guys? Except that I screwed up the beginning when I had you all on camera here wrongly, so we got through that. I want to thank you guys. I want to wish you luck.
Thank
This is
you.
a great endeavor. This is something we need to pass, and I fully endorse it as well, and so does my entire family. Please take advantage of your right to vote, and May 6th is the day for the primary election. One last call. Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Marty over at the Kramer home.
Hi, Marty.
Just wanted to thank all the guys. We call them all the time for little things and big things, and they're always quick to respond, and I hope everyone in Pontiac supports the levy.
Very good, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Could I, if I could bring
Sure.
up one thing, and this might also help out. One of the issues that we have a lot in is open burning. So we're kind of in a rock and a hard place, because if we go and take care of it, then one person or the other's mad. So just to kind of get out there, the open burning laws in the city of Conneaut, and also it's in the Ohio Fire Code, is if you have clean dry wood and no leaves, no construction materials or anything like that, clean dry wood in a 2-foot by 3-foot pile, it has to, you have to be out there at all times, have an extinguishing agent with you, whether it's an extinguisher, a garden hose, or a bucket of water. The burn pile has to be no closer than 25 feet from any type of a structure. And also, if you are within all those parameters, if somebody calls and complains, the fire has to be put out. And a lot of times we get there and people they get mad at you because they want to cook, you know, hot dogs or marshmallows. And my advice to them is the best thing you could do is just get a small grill and some charcoal and just do it that way. And that's probably one of the best pieces of advice.
The one you were talking about with the wood and all that stuff, Mike, or Steve, geez, I'm sorry about that. Steve, is that like the kids that are out with a bonfire type thing? Is that the kind you're referring to, like on a Saturday night?
Yeah.
So if you get a complaint, you're going to tell them to put it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it has to be put out because the reason we're there is somebody called complaining about the smoke.
Okay. What about my wife and I like to do the fire pit thing in the backyard on a Saturday night. Is that okay?
An actual bricked in fire?
Yes.
That, as long as it's within those parameters, but then again, if somebody calls, then the fire has to be put out.
Oh, you darn.
Yeah.
Usually people don't complain, do they?
You know, most of the times it's probably a neighbor dispute.
You're right.
You know,
I've
so
been through that before.
we'll go put one out and they'll, you know, they get mad at us and they'll say, well, there's 5 other people burning over there, so then you're going around the neighborhood. We just don't drive around looking for them.
Okay.
You know, so.
So, but open, we have to get this straight too. Open burning is not allowed in the state of Ohio, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you can't go out and burn your trash and all that sort of stuff. That's
No.
been thrown out the window for years.
We actually had someone was burning in a barrel yesterday next to Lakeshore Primary,
No.
burning their garbage, and
Oh,
they started a small woods fire.
Oh,
from
no.
it. So, but you know, that's no trash or anything. It has to be clean.
Do you cite them for that?
Usually the first time, no, but if it continues, I usually call it the 3-strike rule. If I go
Yeah.
back 3 times, then they get cited into court. and
You're
then-
out.
Yeah, you get a hefty fine and probation for
Really?
it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Again, wish you guys well.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you
much.
very much.
And thanks everyone for their support.
Yeah, you got a lot of good support today. That's a good thing. So vote yes on issue 5, right, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. Issue 5 on the ballots May 6th.